Hey, I'm Jonathan. Welcome to Rather Be Riffing. So in today's video, I'm going to be comparing the Gibson Les Paul, which is the legendary single-cut guitar design, with a modern variant, the Nik Huber Orca 59. So in this video, I'll do several A-B sound comparisons between the guitars. I'll also cover some of the key differences in spec and playability. And at the end of the video, I will do an A-B comparison of both guitars playing the guitar solo from the opening track. And ultimately, I'm trying to figure out whether I think a Nik Huber Orca 59 can replace my Gibson Les Paul within my collection. So let's find out. So before I cover the specs of the guitars, let's check out the Orca 59 in the context of the opening track. Beautiful Sunday afternoon. We sprung ahead today, daylight savings time. I think that's as good of a reason as any to try out a new beer. So on tap today, from East Rock Brewing Company, we have a black lager. Thank you, Rose, for picking this one up for me. Black lager. It's a luscious, full-bodied black lager with notes of creamy caramel, coffee, and dark chocolate. 6.2% alcohol. Let's check it out. Cheers. All right, for the sound samples, let's start with a clean tone. I'm going to be in the bridge position. I'm going to use a touch of compression with an Origins Effects Cali 76, so let's check that out. So what I noticed there is both guitars had really good string separation and clarity and were very balanced across the spectrum, even up high. There was no dead notes, no notes really poked out. It was very balanced sounding in both cases. I felt that the Gibson was a little more scooped, whereas the Orca had a little bit more mid-range push. And the last observation I had was that the Les Paul actually struggled with intonation issues in the upper register, which required me to tune the guitar differently to compensate for that, so you don't hear it in the recording, whereas the Orca 59 didn't require any compensation whatsoever. I think that speaks to the fact that the Orca 59 is built with a higher level of precision when it comes to the fretwork and the setup and the intonation. All right, so up next, let's see how these guitars handle a little bit of overdrive. I'm going to kick on a Vemoram Janray for that and stay in the bridge position, so let's check that out. So while both single cut designs share a lot of the same specs, there are some key differences. When it comes to the functional differences, the Orca 59 has a very different neck profile. The nut width is more narrow and the neck carve is more deep. And the Orca also has a different scale length. It's 25 inches as opposed to the 24 3/4 inches of the Gibson Les Paul. The finish is different. The Orca 59 has a satin nitro finish, which is very thin and smooth, whereas the Les Paul has a gloss nitro finish, has a little bit more of a sticky feel. The fingerboard radius on the Orca is a compound radius 10 to 14 inches, so it has a bit more of a modern feel compared to the Gibson Les Paul. Also, the neck heel is exquisitely carved out on the Orca 59, which allows for much better upper fret access. And the Orca also has the ability to split the humbuckers into single coil mode via a push-pull pot. Now aesthetically, there's some key differences as well. You can see this is a one-piece quilted maple top as opposed to the two-piece flame maple top on the Les Paul. Rather than plastic, all of the pickup rings, pickup knob, neck binding is all made out of flamed maple. It's very beautiful. It reminds me of a PRS private stock. And lastly, the top carve is much more pronounced on the Orca. All right, let's move on to the middle position. I'm going to keep the Vemorim Jan Ray on for some light overdrive. I'm going to play a more muted percussive rhythm part, and let's see what differences we can hear in that context. Let's go into high gain mode. I'm going to keep my Vemorim Jan Ray on and kick on a BK Butler tube driver for a boost. And I'm going to compare the guitars in all three pickup positions, starting with the neck, middle, and bridge. And I'll play some various licks in A minor to demonstrate the different characteristics of each guitar. So let's check that out. So I'm really curious for any differences you were hearing there. I was hard pressed to notice any glaring differences. I thought both guitars sounded great. Thought there was a ton of sustain in the neck position. It really reminded me of that Gary Moore Still Got the Blues type of sustain. The middle position had plenty of chime and quack in both guitars. And I felt the bridge position was exactly what you want. It had some nice aggression and clarity, especially with that pinch harmonic that really jumped off the fretboard in both cases. I did notice the Gibson tended to be a little brighter and have maybe a bit more attitude than the Orca, whereas the Orca was maybe slightly more refined and a touch warmer. But I'd love to know what you're hearing. So up next, I'm going to do a direct head-to-head comparison in the context of the opening track. So let's check that out. So I'm really curious to know what differences you were hearing and which guitar you would prefer and why. So do let me know in the comments below. All right, so now that we've been through the sound comparisons, I wanted to share my thoughts as to whether I think the Nik Huber Orca 59 can replace my Gibson Les Paul in the collection. I think the short answer is no. I think the guitars, while they sound very similar, I think only a Les Paul sounds like a Les Paul, so if that's what you want, and you want those classic tones, that's probably the better choice for you. However, if you're looking for a guitar that has more modern playability and more tonal range, I think the Nik Huber Orca 59 is an awesome option. Now, in this video, I didn't get into the split coil tones, but that opens up a whole other range of possibilities with this guitar. If you're interested in hearing those tones, check out my review of the Nik Huber Orca 59, linked above and below. So that's a wrap. Thanks a ton for watching. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments below and I would be happy to answer them. In the meantime, take care and I'll see you in the next video.